Q&A questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have a preview of the
Right, we have
shows.
about 5
Yes.
minutes before opening starts, so,
I met you when you were at the Art Museum.
Yes.
I was distributing posters for some, I don't even remember what the name.
Art on the Edge, it was called. Yeah.
Anyway, you told me you then had this vision, you were saying you were leaving the Art Museum and starting this other idea. And I thought, well, that's interesting. You invited me to meet you in your office, which was the across the street from mine on Broadway in the Literary Arts. And we sat on the floor, there was no furniture. You had your Rolodex,
Yep.
cell phone, and you
It's
had
like,
this
Alan, I
vision.
need your help.
You needed help, and what I said was, this is fantastic, it's interesting and so on, but you talked about the, the paintings and the visual art. I said, what about dance and performance art
Yeah.
and the disciplines coming together?
Yeah.
Because we, lost Portland
Yeah.
Vision, and we lost Nancy Matchak, who
Yeah,
was
yeah.
doing the dance program. And you said you definitely, that was one of your main things.
Yeah.
That's why I got involved. And I think a lot of other people, because we
Yeah.
missed that performance art and dance.
Yeah, yeah.
We had Terry Hopkins at
Sure.
Art Museum.
Terry
at the Art
Hopkins taught me
Gym,
a lot,
Art Gym.
actually. Yeah, thanks, Alan.
But that part there, I think if you
Yeah.
can talk about
that's
that.
what PICA became.
The,
Yeah.
the thing is that, if you, I guess this is, there's a way in which you can believe in an idea that a rising tide will lift all ships on it, right?
Yeah.
So if you tend to the single ships, you're not going to tend to the tide. So all of those ships, all of those art forms, all of that creative possibility, all of the exuberance and provocation of energies as authored through the artists of this place, the artists in our country, artists ever, there's a river that runs through this work. And Portland is one of the great places to be able to have that fire from as an identity, for God's sake. So it was about how do we come together to tend to the tide so that whether it's dance or theater practice or visual practice or cinema practice, that lift will happen because we in Portland totally deserve it, warrant it, and we're brilliant and we know how to go about it.
There you go. All right, one more question. Josh.
Hey, Josh.
So, hey, this is a beautiful conversation, thank you. And what a thing to celebrate, 20 years. To pick up on what you were just saying, the tide that lifts all ships, well, it's looked at all ships. The world is now focused on Portland.
Yeah.
I was just sitting with John Day last week, and
Yeah.
he's like, people from Tokyo, everybody wants Peace Portland.
Yeah.
It's in the New York Times every week. It's the city where young people go to retire. So what is Portland now? And how do we make now? What is the new Portland? And what can it be? There are no more warehouses.
Yeah.
It's harder to find them.
Yeah.
You're scratching more, I don't know.
Well-
You get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Where do we go from here?
you guys will know.
Yeah, we just
You will
have to do
know.
it.
I mean, it's the same thing. There was so much, the thing that I think is that by having now an identity as an art city and an identity of a place in which Maverick Possibilities, which is very connected to its heritage anyway, in the arts, find their way to provoke and fire from. But it's actually tending to individual artists here, frankly. It's about tending to the independent liberty and practice of exploratory artists who live and work in this community, because they are part of what that weave is. They are part of what that strength is. And it's difficult because in what way do you do that, right? Because our mechanisms tend to make us look for proof, right? But the presence is the proof. So to me, the most significant thing to do in the next step and iteration of an evolving city is to continue to find the vehicles in which you're supporting artistic vision and integrity, you're supporting the organizations and institutions that are framing that in a way to broaden to amplify it to a broader public. But really, the thing for artists here is that I remember the thing most yearned for at the time was in the creative research what would provoke someone about where their work sat in the world if the world wasn't sitting next to them, right? Where does that benchmark? Where is that thing? And Portland artists bust their asses to get back into the studio. You know, they're not always running around social networking to try and tend to an identity. They're tending to a practice in that studio, and you can feel it. You can feel it. So now that actually is Portland in the world, and that collision of rigor is something that you have to really take hold of and respond to, and are. But I think that's much more what does it. You will know how to go in the next direction, but upholding the identity that's been hard fought, hard won, and not allowing it to become complacent, or I guess in a way, nobody's entitled to it. It's authored by all. So there's a cultural commons inside of this thing that's very significant, but it takes everyone to continue that tending.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was great.
Don't be distracted by success.
Right, that's a great, well, thank you, Kristy, for being here, and Kristan, and everybody. Together. We have an incredible community, and if you haven't bought your tickets for on May 16th, you should, because that's a direct way to support the institution of PICA. So, and you should read this poem by Anne Hamilton, which I am remiss at not reading out loud. You want me to read something? Yeah, I mean, it is titled PICA. We have some clue to how Kristy thinks. The P in PICA is Portland, obviously, is made from an edge condition in a place between land and water. And edges are where things meet and where things change each other, whether that crossing is one person with another, or the unexpected meeting of a bird song with an object, a performer with an audience, contact is touch, is always some form of exchange. The I in PICA is institute. Fitting designation for PICA legacy. It's an amazing faith in people, both artists and audiences. That is something Kristy has at the highest level. Both risk and trust have to be present for there to be faith. Fear gets in the way of both, which means that when everyone gets afraid, and this can include the artists, Kristy helps us see the possibility. Anyway, it's a great 6-page poem, and I can't stand up here and read it all. Everybody moves into the other room. We can clear the chairs and get a drink and eat more food.